Long ago, in the heart of the forest, where the ancient trees whispered secrets to the wind and the rivers sang songs that carried stories to every corner of the land, a sinister plot began to unfold. The forest was a place of harmony, where animals lived under the watchful gaze of nature's beauty. At its center stood Elephant, the gentle giant. With his towering frame and unwavering strength, he was a symbol of kindness and generosity. Elephant was loved by all the animals, from the tiny ants who sought shelter under his shadow to the birds who sang sweet melodies in his honor. Whenever a tree fell and blocked the paths of the smaller creatures, it was Elephant who lifted it effortlessly. When the rivers flooded their banks and the animals were stranded, it was Elephant who carried them to safety. His heart was as big as his body, and his good deeds were known far and wide. But not everyone in the forest admired Elephant. Lurking in the darker corners of the jungle, Wolf and Hyena watched him with narrowed eyes and hearts full of envy. These two were infamous for their greed and cunning. They were best friends, bound not by loyalty or trust, but by their shared thirst for power and wealth. Where Elephant earned respect through kindness, Wolf and Hyena sought it through intimidation. But no matter how hard they tried, their reputation was nothing compared to the admiration the forest creatures had for Elephant. For one evening, as the sun set behind the trees and painted the forest in hues of gold and crimson, Wolf growled with frustration. "Why should everyone love Elephant?" he snarled, pacing back and forth under a great baobab tree. "Is it because he's big? Because he's strong? What about us, Hyena? We're just as deserving of respect." Hyena cackled, her laughter hollow and cold. "You're right, Wolf, but strength alone doesn't make someone beloved. Elephant's kindness makes the others adore him, and that is something we'll never have." Wolf's growl deepened. "Then we'll take away his strength. Without it, he's nothing." Hyena's eyes gleamed with malice as an idea began to form. Yes, we'll bring him down. And when he's gone, the forest will finally belong to us." Under the cover of night, the two conspirators plotted their evil plan, their whispers blending with the rustling leaves. The shadows seemed to grow darker around them, as if the forest itself disapproved of their scheming. Their plan was simple but deadly: to lure Elephant into a trap that would strip him of his strength and leave him powerless. With Elephant out of the way, they could take control of the forest and rule it with fear. But what Wolf and Hyena didn't know was that the forest had its own protector. Hidden among the trees, small but sharp-eyed, was Kwaku Ananse, the cunning spider. While the two villains schemed, Ananse listened from the safety of his web, his many eyes glinting with curiosity and amusement. "So they think they can take down Elephant," Ananse murmured to himself. "These fools don't know what they're up against. If they succeed, the balance of the forest will be destroyed. I cannot let that happen." The tiny spider began weaving a plan, one that would turn the tables on Wolf and Hyena and save Elephant from their treachery. Ananse knew that while he lacked Elephant's strength, his cleverness and quick thinking would be more than enough to outwit the greedy pair. And so, the forest held its breath, waiting to see how the story would unfold. Little did Wolf and Hyena know that their greed had not only drawn Ananse's attention, but also set the stage for a tale of cunning, courage, and the triumph of good over evil. The next morning, Wolf and Hyena approached Elephant with wide smiles and false kindness. "Brother Elephant," Wolf said smoothly, "we have found the sweetest fruit tree in the entire forest, but it's too heavy for us to carry the fruit back. Will you help us?" Elephant, always willing to help, flapped his ears in delight. Of course, show me the way. What Elephant didn't know was that Wolf and Hyena had dug a deep pit beneath the fruit tree, covering it with branches and leaves. As soon as Elephant stepped near it, they planned to push him in, where sharp spikes awaited him at the bottom. Meanwhile, Kwaku Ananse was spinning another plan of his own. Wolf and Hyena think they're clever, he chuckled, but they've forgotten that no one outsmarts Kwaku Ananse. Before Elephant arrived at the fruit tree, Kwaku Ananse swung down from his intricate web, landing gracefully in front of the massive creature. "Elephant, wait!" he called out, his small voice filled with urgency. Elephant stopped in his tracks, his large ears flapping in confusion. "What is it, Ananse? I'm in a hurry to help my friends Wolf and Hyena. They said they found a tree with the sweetest fruits." Ananse scurried closer, his many eyes glinting with a mixture of concern and determination. "Those are no friends of yours," he said firmly. "Wolf and Hyena have set a trap to kill you. If you follow them, you'll never return." Elephant's trunk twitched as he frowned, lowering his great head to look at Ananse more closely. "I find that hard to believe, little spider. Wolf and Hyena have always been kind to me. Why would they want to harm me?" Ananse climbed onto a low branch, speaking with conviction. "They're jealous of you, Elephant. You are loved and admired by all the animals, while they are feared and avoided. They can't stand that you have what they never will: respect." Elephant's deep eyes searched Ananse's face for any sign of deceit. "Even if what you say is true, how do you know this?" "I overheard them," Ananse replied, his voice steady. "They plan to lure you to the fruit tree, but the ground beneath it is a trap. Beneath the leaves and branches is a pit filled with sharp stakes. Once you step there, they'll push you in, and it will be too late." Elephant's ears drooped slightly, his heart heavy with the thought of betrayal. "I can't believe this," he said quietly. "I thought they were my friends. I've helped them so many times." "Some creatures mistake kindness for weakness," Ananse said gently. "But don't despair, Elephant. We can turn their evil plan against them. Will you trust me to help you?" Elephant stood silently for a moment, his massive form casting a shadow over Ananse. Finally he nodded, his deep voice steady. "Very well, Ananse. I will trust you. What should I do?" Ananse's face lit up with a cunning grin. "Good. Here's the plan. Go to the fruit tree as if you suspect nothing. Let them think their trap is working. But when the time comes, follow my instructions exactly, and we will expose their treachery for all to see." Elephant straightened, a new determination in his eyes. "Tell me what to do, Ananse. I won't let them harm me or anyone else again." The spider climbed higher into the tree, spinning a small web as he began to explain. "First, you must act like you believe their lies. Then—" And so, the cunning Ananse laid out his strategy, and the forest prepared for a confrontation that would decide the fate of its gentle giant. Ananse whispered his plan to Elephant, who listened carefully. Then Elephant continued to the fruit tree, pretending to know nothing. Wolf and Hyena greeted him eagerly, their eyes glinting with malice. "Right here, Elephant," Hyena said, pointing to the tree. "The sweetest fruits are just ahead." As Elephant approached the trap, Wolf and Hyena positioned themselves behind him, ready to push him into the pit. But just as they lunged, Elephant stomped hard on the ground, shaking the earth. The vibrations caused the false covering of the pit to collapse, revealing the sharp spikes below. Wolf and Hyena stumbled, teetering on the edge of their own trap. Before they could regain their balance, a strong web shot out from the trees, wrapping around their legs. "Got you!" Ananse cried, swinging down from above. Wolf and hyena thrashed wildly, their claws scraping against the earth as they struggled to free themselves from Ananse's unbreakable web. Snarls erupted from Wolf's throat, his sharp teeth snapping futilely, while hyena let out desperate, high-pitched whimpers. But the more they fought, the tighter the sticky strands wrapped around their bodies, pinning their limbs and muzzles. Above them loomed Elephant, his massive frame casting a shadow so large it seemed to swallow them whole. His deep, steady breaths echoed like distant drumbeats in the tense air. His eyes, usually soft and kind, burned with quiet fury. When he finally spoke, his voice was a rumble that made the ground tremble beneath them. "You tried to kill me," Elephant said, each word heavy with accusation. "Why?" The question hung in the air, unanswered, as Wolf and Hyena looked at each other in panic. Hyena's usual cackle was gone, replaced by trembling lips. "Speak," Elephant's voice rose, like thunder breaking through the forest canopy. Hyena broke first, her voice a pitiful whine. We were jealous," she cried, her laughter replaced by panic. "Everyone admires you, and we get nothing. Nothing." Wolf growled low, his pride preventing him from speaking, but the fear in his eyes betrayed him. He knew they were trapped, their plan exposed, and their lives now hung by a thread. "Jealousy?" Elephant said, his trunk curling with restrained anger. "You thought that gave you the right to betray me, to kill me, after all I've done for you?" Wolf finally snarled in defiance, his voice dripping with venom. "You think you're better than us, Elephant? Always so big, so strong, so loved. What do we get? Fear and scraps. We deserve what you have." Ananse, perched on a nearby tree branch, clicked his fangs in disapproval. The moonlight glinted off his many eyes as he leaned closer to the scene. "Jealousy is no excuse for betrayal," Ananse said, his voice cold and cutting. "Elephant's kindness earned him the respect you crave. You could have worked with him, learned from him, and become better. Instead, you chose treachery. Now, you must face the consequences." Wolf and Hyena shivered at the word consequences. They knew the forest animals would not take their betrayal lightly. "Please, Elephant," Hyena begged, tears streaming down her face. "We were wrong. Spare us." Elephant stepped closer, his enormous shadow stretching over them. His eyes narrowed as he considered their pleas. The forest had gone silent, as if every creature was holding its breath, waiting for Elephant's verdict. Even Ananse paused, watching closely. "You say you were jealous," Elephant said slowly, his voice a low rumble. "But do you know what true strength is? It's using your power to help others, not harm them. I should crush you for what you've done." Hyena yelped, shaking her head violently, while Wolf glared but said nothing. "But," Elephant continued, his voice softer now, "I won't lower myself to your level. Ananse, release them." Ananse tilted his head, surprised. "Release them? Are you sure, Elephant? They'll just plot again." Elephant nodded. "Let the forest judge them. Their shame will be punishment enough." Reluctantly, Ananse spun his web threads loose, and the sticky bindings fell away. Wolf and Hyena scrambled to their feet, their tails tucked between their legs. They looked up at Elephant, whose gaze bore into them, and then at the gathering crowd of animals who had witnessed their disgrace. "You'll regret this, Elephant," Wolf growled, but his voice was weaker now, his bravado shattered. "No," Elephant said firmly. "It is you who will live with regret. Now go." Wolf and Hyena slunk off into the shadows, their heads low and their hearts heavy. The forest animals murmured among themselves, their admiration for Elephant growing even stronger. As for Ananse, he chuckled softly and said, "You're a better creature than I am, Elephant. Me? I would have tied them up for good." Elephant smiled, his anger fading. "Kindness is the strongest weapon, Ananse, even stronger than your webs." And so, the forest returned to peace, but Wolf and Hyena's names became a warning to all. Betrayal and greed always come with a price. The forest animals soon gathered, drawn by the commotion. When they learned of Wolf and Hyena's plot, they were outraged. Lion, the king of the forest, declared, "Wolf and Hyena, for your betrayal and wickedness, you are banished from the heart of the forest. You will live on the outskirts, far from the rest of us." Ashamed and defeated, Wolf and Hyena slunk away, their heads low. As for Elephant, he turned to Ananse and said, "Thank you, my clever friend. You've saved my life." Ananse grinned. "Of course, that's what friends are for. Besides, it's always satisfying to outsmart those who think they're cleverer than me." The animals cheered for Ananse and Elephant, celebrating their victory over treachery. From that day on, Elephant was more cautious, and Ananse's reputation as the cleverest creature in the forest grew even stronger. And so, the forest returned to peace, with the animals learning an important lesson. Trust and kindness will always triumph over jealousy and deceit. The end.